Just a sidebar.
Right.
Very weird, like toxic, viral relationship. Alberto Del Rio and Saraya. Like,
Right.
how long was that? Like, how much news did they make?
Oh, a lot in just a
lot,
couple of years,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Did you do?
Right, because they were a true power couple in wrestling. You know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And they went over. Let me ask you a question. When they were dating, were you communicating with Alberto Del Rio while they were dating, like yourself? Because you know Alberto.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Not only was I communicating, he worked for us in Mexico, and he was with us in Impact, working while he was with her.
Right.
Would you? Okay, so he's they're going viral. There's issues. They're having problems. He's working for you and something. You bring him in, like, if you're willing to discuss this. You bring you're like he's working on your show. You're telling him, like, what he's doing on the show. So you have a conversation with him. Do you bring that up?
What specifically? What you would have to tell me specifically? What
I'm just saying they were having problems. Did you? He's a friend of yours. You guys are friends, right?
Yes.
Were you discussing their issues?
Yes.
Okay. So, like, you were in the mix with that.
Well, the thing was that I like Saraya. She's always been sweet with me. I like ADR. He has had his issues because when you're not, you're not thinking correctly, and so he has a big heart, but bro, he's in a very competitive business. He's getting older. He wants to secure his spot. The guy looks like a movie star, and I would see them in public. I would see stuff he would do to her, and I would see stuff she would do to him, and they would just rile each other up. It wasn't like a one-sided thing. You know what I'm saying? So where I could say, all right, hey, you're being a dude. You need to knock it out because you're gonna really get. I couldn't, because they were both just all the time triggering each other. Fighting in public.
We've all had a friend where if there's involved, you can't get through to them, like Konnan said, and B, if they're really hooked on a chick, they're not going to hear the negatives about her either. They're just not going to hear it.
It just shows how, like, when you put your relationships out there, they're very symptomatic of, like, a lot of people's problems.
Right.
And when you're famous, it's very difficult to try to navigate it when you throw it out there publicly and don't keep it private. Then everybody and their mother is, like, chiming in on every decision you make with that relationship, and, like, that's why I've always, like, asking you. I'm not in the business anymore. No. It seems like a very and I use this word. I'm not throwing like an community because they kind of keep it in house.
I know what you're trying to say, but I don't think that's the correct word.
Okay, but they're all dating each other. Okay, and if we're all family, and, like, I'm just throwing that word out, like, we're because wrestling is a family. When we're all on the road together, we're trying to get him. So when everybody dates inside that community and problems arise, dude, it's like I work a job, okay, where, like, literally in, like, the employee handbook, you're not supposed to date employees,
right? But
everybody still kind of does because you don't police that. It's like speeding.
What are you going to do? Follow them home and see if they're hanging out? Yeah.
Right, exactly. Like, if speeding is 55. If you're going 60, who the fuck? Everybody's doing that, right? There's so many people. Right. So when I see, like, like the problems in wrestling, I'm like always, like, wondering, like, I just think that, like, we have a community of people that are so engrossed in what they do, this business, that it's difficult for them to get outside the box. And, like, so their problems are always in everybody's lap. The people you work with, the stuff. The funniest thing was, I was pretty good friends with Scott Steiner when he had his issue with Paige. Okay,
right.
And we would have conversations, and he would like explain. He would try to explain to me why Paige was a person and stuff. And I'm like, and I would explain to him, Scotty, that's fine, but you are. The way you're treating this issue is dumping your issue with him in everybody's lap and making everybody feel uncomfortable. Which is what it was, right? I mean, you were there, right?
Right.
So it's like, so I just think that, like, the weirdest thing about Scotty is that he was very stubborn. Right. You know what I'm saying? Very stubborn. So whatever you were telling him, his
he was so incensed that he probably wasn't even listening. Yeah.
Right.
He had a bad temper.
Right. But what
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, but what I'm saying is like, so you see in wrestling today, where like everybody's dating inside of it. It's like everybody needs to be. Well, I just want to say, I'm not in it. I'm looking from outside the bubble, and I'm just looking inside the bubble and seeing these things. I'm saying, like, when you see ADR and Saraya, like there can be another issue like that with top people in this, like, people are talking about it. It's very negative, like the negative press and stuff. So I'm just like, I don't know. I've always wanted. I never wanted to date anybody in the business. I always looked outside the box. I wanted, like, my ex-girlfriends are like people like, well, they knew nothing about wrestling, which is why I like, okay, great. Right. Wrestling's my life. I want to get away from wrestling with I don't want to talk about wrestling with which was cool, Right. I don't know if like people are wired like that today, like in this business.
It's really weird because the thing is, wrestling is no different than any major corporation. If you go to IBM or Ford or anything where there's a lot of employees, there's going to be a lot of dating because that's the people you're around the most. In wrestling, it's kind of weird because you're traveling together, bro. You're like in hotels at night, drinking wine at the hotel lobby. You're inviting the girl out for drinks. Everybody gets together because it's somebody's birthday. You know what I'm saying? Right. Somebody's looking nice. She gets your attention. You're hollering at her. You know what I'm saying? But I've always thought about the business. And now you see a lot of people getting married. Where before, if you remembered, marriages didn't really last. Like all the women, I don't have to say all their names, but we know who they are. They went from wrestler to wrestler, even if they were their girlfriend. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like now, some people are actually getting married and they're staying married. But bro, to me, being married in the business is like, why would you bring beach to the sand? You're out there, you're acting a fool. You don't want your chick around you all the time. You don't want to be around her. You want to go home and relax with her, not travel. And I don't know. Some guys could probably do that. That's not in my nature. And be talking about wrestling all the time. Because like what I do now is when I do the podcast and when I got to do like meetings for wrestling or anything, I'm tuned 100% in that. But the minute I'm off the podcast or not, I can't die to do other stuff. I don't want my whole life to be revolving around wrestling all the time.
You're one of my best friends.
Right.
I know Stacy. I was actually involved in you meeting Stacy, and it was from the first time and like seeing you guys. So I've known you. I've known Stacy from the first time we met her. So right. So. What are your conversations like?
Nothing about wrestling.
I know that, but what are your points of interest? Like, because I've talked, she's kind of like, she's kind of like
right-wingish.
She's very right-wingish, right? But you're very, you're your own thing, right?
I don't know if you even could describe me. I'm just very disillusioned, but very politically interested because I know those are the real power brokers and the rich people are the real power brokers in this country and around the world. So it's 100%. Very interesting to see they try to put on us as if we haven't been seeing this manifested in other forms for various years. It's just the same thing, different year with a twist on it. And so I just get sometimes so disillusioned that man's greed is so huge that he would take other people's life, not care about their health, not care if they die or, it's all about greed. It's like, how much are you going to take with you? How much are you going to leave to you? I mean, you can't help other people out. And that to me is like, there's good people too. There's very good people that restore my faith in humanity. But bro, there's just so, even like when you go online, there's so many people that are just so angry all the time. It's like, wow, what happened to this country? This country wasn't like that before, So it's that. So I don't really have I don't follow anybody politically. Yeah,
I know, but you're missing my question. What are you and Stacey's conversations like? Like, what are your points of view?
Oh yeah, we'll talk a little bit of politics. We'll talk. She's got this supplement line that she wants to start, and she reads all the time. So she wants to, me to help me. So we talk about that. Just normal couples talk about nothing out of the ordinary. Yeah.
Right.